Good morning, everyone. My name is Lakin Coleman, and I'm with the New Growth Women's Business Center. And today I am excited that we have Pamela Hernandez. She is the Regional Director of the Better Business Bureau out of the Springfield office. I believe I forgot to clarify that in the beginning.
That is correct.
We met her at one of our conferences, and she so kindly volunteered to present for you all today. And we're looking forward to another great presentation on the Women's Business Center webinar series. And with that being said, a little bit about the New Growth Women's Business Center. We serve 15 counties in the state of Missouri, and that's typically rural counties. Actually, it's 13 counties in Missouri, 2 in Kansas, because we do border right there. We have business counseling services, peer-to-peer networking, access to capital, mentorship and leadership, business training, and we have recently added credit building, where we have certified credit builders on staff. If you need to reach out to us for any reason, our information is there at the bottom of the screen, and we will have this up at the end as well. Question and answer section is open, and we will be utilizing that during this webinar. Pamela will be checking it. We'll also definitely have time at the end. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in, and we will get them answered as quickly as possible throughout this webinar. And we are just excited for you all to be here. And I'm still sharing my screen. We're excited for you guys to be here. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Pamela.
Thank you, Lakin. Thank you for having me. I have the best job. I love to share what we do at the Better Business Bureau with our community. As a former small business owner, I understand some of the challenges. So just kind of speak the language. So let me get my presentation up here. There we go. Nice and full screen. And let me see if I can make sure I can see the chat as well. We're just going to throw that over there. That way I can see the chat. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to throw them in the chat. I have no problem stopping the middle. I like to do interactive. So just throw those questions, or you can save them for the end, and we'll have some Q&A time at the end to ask about anything maybe I didn't get a chance to cover, or questions that you have about the Better Business Bureau. And I find that folks have a lot of questions about the Better Business Bureau. Folks don't know a lot about what we do, about how we started, about our mission. So I always like to talk about how we are a nonprofit to start. A lot of folks think that the Better Business Bureau is a government organization, but we are not. We don't receive any kind of government funding. We are a nonprofit supported by dues of businesses who choose to become BBB accredited. So that is how we function. Our mission is to be the leader in advancing marketplace trust. And we really are just trying to create that ethical marketplace where buyers and sellers can trust each other. So that is what we are here in the community to do. And I always like to share our history because I think it's a fun history, and you can put this in your back pocket for maybe trivia night. But Better Business Bureau actually started out of a lawsuit against Coca-Cola. So a brand that we sort of all know and love in the early 1900s ended up in court. And what happened was they were in court because of false advertising. In the early 1900s, Coca-Cola loved to say that it was a health tonic, that it would cure exhaustion, headaches, improve mental clarity, do all of these things that, despite the fact that the formula for Coca-Cola then was very different than it is now, it could not do these things. So they ended up in a lawsuit in Atlanta. And one of the, I'm sure many attorneys for Coca-Cola said in this courtroom that all advertising was exaggerated and that nobody really believed it. Like, he was just saying that this was a ridiculous lawsuit. Now, there was a man in the audience named Samuel Dobbs who was very panicked by that. He was an ad man. That was his job. And if that was true, if people had stopped believing advertising and that didn't do any good, then he was going to be out of a job. So he became a very passionate truth in advertising advocate. And he was also the president of a group called the Associated Advertising Clubs of America. And in that group, they decided to form something called vigilance committees. And vigilance committees were really an attempt to self-regulate, to try to regulate against false advertising. Unfortunately, they found out that they had more business than they could handle, so they decided to create a separate entity, and that was in 1912. That was how BBB was founded, 1912. So we're over 100 years old as an organization. Now, our BBB, which covers all of Southwest Missouri, I am the regional director for Southwest Missouri, covers all of Eastern Missouri. So we're all up that eastern side and into Southern Illinois. Our BBB was founded in St. Louis in 1917. So we're one of the oldest, again, over 100 years old. As a regional director, like I said, I am all over Southwest Missouri. I'm over to Newton and Jasper County. I am down to Oregon County. I am up to Camden. I'm all over. I have counterparts in Columbia. I have counterpart in Cape Girardeau and a counterpart in Quincy, Illinois. And then, of course, we have a lot of our services in St. Louis. A lot of our team is in St. Louis. And when I say our BBB too, it's also important to note that there are actually 97 independently incorporated BBBs across the United States. We are all governed by something called the International Association of Better Business Bureaus, and they are the ones that create all of the standards as far as branding and our own, you could say, accreditation. We have standards that we have to meet in order to keep being a BBB, just like a business has to meet our standards of trust. So when I say our BBB, that is what I am referring to. So anywhere you are in kind of that Southwest Missouri area, I am your person to help. And we help a lot of consumers, not just businesses, but consumers. So in 2022, and I say 2022 because we don't have 2023 data yet, but in 2022, we had 21.4 million instances of service. And when I say instances of service, that's folks coming to bbb.org in our area for our BBB, or doing some phone calls. A lot of stuff comes in through online, of course, through bbb.org, but we do still have a customer relations team taking those phone calls. And they're coming in to take advantage of, to use our free consumer services, business profiles, to get a quote from a business, to leave a review. Maybe it's something to do with a dispute, to find information about a charity. If you've heard of give.org, that is BBB. They're looking at our research. They're looking at our tools for small businesses. They're looking for scam information. That's a big part of my job, is doing some of that outreach. And community outreach is basically my job. I always say my job is outreach and community. It's education and outreach. That's what I'm here to do. So that number doesn't include doing talks like these, the emails I get, the phone calls that I get, the questions that I get when I'm out doing presentations to community. It doesn't count those media appearances. So that number is actually bigger than 21.4 million, because there's other ways we reach consumers. But again, these services are free to consumers, funded by dues that our accredited businesses pay. And it all starts with a BBB business profile. So the BBB business profile is about giving customers the knowledge that they need about companies they want to do business with. So the job, and a big part of my job, a big part of what BBB does, is connect consumers to brands, businesses, and charities they can trust by providing neutral third-party information. We want to get that information out there so the consumers can find your business. So here is what a BBB business profile looks like. Now, we want to have a profile for every business. You do not have to pay to have a BBB business profile. And I think a lot of folks, especially new businesses, are confused by that. You do not have to pay to have your business profile. And I like to tell all businesses to get their profile if they don't have it, but particularly a new business, for a couple of reasons. One, it's bbb.org. Having your business at that .org can be very helpful in search engine results for consumers trying to find you. Two, something that started within the last year is Google is trying to find a way to vet businesses. They unfortunately get a lot of spam, a lot of scam businesses trying to set up Google profiles. And so within the last year, they have started using a business's BBB business profile as a way to vet them as a legitimate company, that it is a business, not a scam. So as you're starting out, maybe even looking to grow your business, double check and make sure you have a BBB business profile, and make sure that that information on your profile is correct if you do have one. Maybe you set it up a couple of years ago and you have a new location, or you've changed something about your business hours. Make sure that that information is correct. You can do that by calling our main number. You can certainly contact me, and I'll share my contact information at the end. But let us know. We want to create a profile that's as accurate as possible. We want that information for consumers. And we try to get that information from the businesses, especially in the beginning when they don't have a profile and we learn about a new business. So if someone calls from the Better Business Bureau, we're certainly not going to ask you for personally identifying information, but we're saying, somebody said you're a new business in the area. We just want to make sure we have the details right. They'll go through that information with you. And then if you've changed that information, again, let us know. We want that information to be correct for consumers. On this profile, we also have things like customer reviews, customer complaints, whether you are an accredited business or not, and then additional information that accredited businesses can put on their profile. So we're gonna go through the profile, kind of a few of the key steps more in depth as we go through this presentation. But I wanted to, before we go into some of these areas, give a quick snapshot of the types of businesses that consumers are coming to BBB for, what they're inquiring about. So again, these are 2022 numbers. We don't have 2023 yet. We're going to get those updated as soon as possible. But these are the top 10 types of businesses in our region. So that map that I showed you in the beginning, these are the types of businesses that people are coming to BBB to learn information about and find someone that they can trust. Now that top number is a little skewed because our office handles something called Autoline. And Autoline deals specifically with vehicle service contracts, vehicle warranties, things pertaining to lemon laws. So those are coming from different areas and are coming through our BBB. So that's why that number is substantially higher than number 2, which is roofing contractors. A lot of inquiries for roofing contractors, general contractors, heating and air conditioning, which with the weather that we've had in Southwest Missouri, I have to venture that that is a little bit higher right now, as folks are unfortunately facing some heating and air conditioning challenges. Hopefully we've gotten through the coldest of the weather that we're going to have. Other inquiries are construction services, plumbing, again, kind of in that same vein, but online retailers. That may surprise some folks. When I go out and do education and talk to people about online shopping safely, doing reselling safely, always doing that consumer protection education, that's part of my job. I tell folks, go to bbb.org, look at their business profile, look at those reviews, look at those complaints. So more and more, if you have an online business, maybe you're a crafter, maybe you're someone that does some sort of consulting or graphic design, any kind of online retail, online service, have that profile because consumers are looking for you. That is very important. Used car dealers need to have that too. So that's kind of our top 10 for 2022. Let's talk a little bit about those BBB ratings. So the rating at bbb.org at a business's profile, it says opinion. I need to change the wording on that because it's really not an opinion, but it is a perspective. It is an estimate of how a business is likely to interact with its customers. So we have an algorithm. That's why I say it's not an opinion. There's a very specific set of criteria that you can find at bbb.org if you like to see how or what information goes into this algorithm that determines a business's BBB rating. And it's 0 to 100. So basically there's 100 points for this rating. And then you get a grade, A+ through F, kind of like we were used to in school. Sometimes there's an NR. Now, an NR isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means maybe your business is very new or we don't have enough information to assign a grade. We don't want to throw something up there or penalize somebody because we don't have that information. We would rather put that NR out there. So A+ is the highest rating, F is the lowest. And if you do seek BBB accreditation, you do have to have at least a B. So that's something, again, you want to keep in mind. And if you want to go to bbb.org to better understand that, you can. If you're looking at a business, maybe somebody that you want to do business with, maybe you're looking for somebody to build your website, or you need some painting done on your office, you can click on a business's rating. You can click right there. There'll be a link below it too, and it'll tell you why a business has the rating they have so that you can understand that information as well. So a lot of consumers are looking at that. And again, that's something you can use too as you're trying to find people to help you build your business. Now, another important part of the BBB business profile are those customer ratings. And our customer ratings are a little bit different. I'm sorry, customer reviews, excuse me. Our customer reviews are a little bit different. Reviews left on someone's BBB business profile are not posted for 72 hours. And there's a reason we do that. First, we're verifying it's a real person. So the consumer that leaves the review has to verify via email or text message. And if they don't do that, their review is not going to appear. So they have to verify that information. Now, we're also leaving that window so businesses can respond. So if you have a BBB business profile, you also have the ability to log into your BBB account. And that's where you can see and respond to reviews. That's where if you get a complaint, you can see and respond to a complaint. That's where you can update information for yourself. If you need to update your phone number, or maybe you have a new website, you can update that information. So a business has the opportunity, and we always encourage them to go out there to look at that and to respond. And more importantly, if a business sees a review and they have a doubt that it's a customer review. So for example, maybe it's a disgruntled employee. Maybe it is a competitor, and these things have happened, that has left that review. The business can come to BBB and say, this was not a customer. This is what I think this is. And BBB will contact that person and request proof of a marketplace relationship, that there was some sort of transaction, some sort of proof to that. So that makes those customer reviews a little bit different than what someone might leave on another site. So really, we like to encourage folks to ask for those customer reviews on BBB. We have some tools for our BBB accredited businesses to make that a little bit easier, but those make them just a little bit more robust and a little bit more trustworthy, because we do have that verification step and process. Now, another thing that one can see at a BBB business profile is a complaint. We do dispute resolution, and this is to the benefit, I believe, of the consumer and the business. Consumers can go to this address, bbb.org/file a complaint, or they can file a complaint from a business BBB profile. Now, not having a BBB business page or a profile will not insulate you from someone filing a complaint. They can file a complaint from here, give us as much information as possible, and that's how we start building our file on that business and that information. So don't think because you don't have one, you're never going to get a complaint with BBB. So very important thing to think about. Sometimes people just want to share their experience. That doesn't necessarily constitute a complaint. And we'll talk about what does constitute a complaint. You see there's a place on there for a warranty dispute, and those go to our auto line. So those are a little bit different. But that's where a consumer can go in addition to that business profile if they have an issue. They want BBB's assistance in resolving a dispute. So what kind of complaints do we get? I should say, what type of industries? That's probably a better way to put it. In 2022, because again, we don't have that 2023 data yet, auto repair products and services. So that's not necessarily auto line. That is actually the person that you've hired to put new tires on, change the timing belts, do something, an oil change, a car wash. I've been seeing those come through. I know in the Springfield area, we are seeing a lot more car washes. And of course, with that comes things going wrong in people's vehicles, and we're seeing those types of complaints. So those will fall into that auto service category. You see construction, home improvement. Then there's those vehicle contract companies. And then surprisingly, health and medical care. We certainly aren't handling any kind of malpractice, but for example, a billing issue with a clinic is something someone could file a dispute with about BBB. Internet sales, service, and products. those types of things. Real estate, a lot of people find that a surprising type of thing, but that is what we have seen in 2022 in our top 10. Um, Hopefully we'll have those 2023 numbers soon, but our BBB does a really good job of resolving those complaints. About 80% of those we can get resolved. It is voluntary, of course, to answer a complaint. We are, as I said, not a government agency. We don't have any kind of policing power. We're trying to be there to mediate and help bridge that gap. We always encourage a consumer to talk to the business first to try to get a resolution to their issue. Unfortunately, they don't always do that and they'll come to BBB. But I tell businesses all the time that a complaint isn't necessarily a bad thing. We know that you're not going to make everyone happy and that there's two sides to every story. And if a consumer files a complaint with BBB against your business, we will notify the business. We will notify you. We'll tell you. So they're not out there leaving reviews and doing all this other stuff, and you never know what's happening. If there's a complaint, we're going to get that information to you and get your side of the story. We want to know your side of the story. Please always respond to those complaints because, again, it's your chance to tell your side of the story, to make a good faith effort. We're not going to tell you how to resolve the complaint. You know how to run your business. We're asking you to act in good faith. Make that attempt to solve the problem with the customer. And then other consumers can see that you made that attempt, that you did everything you could to take care of that customer. Now, the second reason is if you don't answer a complaint, that goes up as unanswered. People can see that on your BBB business profile, that you don't try to help customers when something goes wrong. It will also affect your grade. And I have seen in the past, when we start to get a pattern of complaints, that grade fall very quickly. It can go from an A to an F very, very quickly. So it's just really important that if someone files a complaint, please respond to that complaint. And if you need help, you don't know what to do, you can't get into the BBB account, you're not sure what to do about it, I am a resource to help you. I don't do the dispute resolution. And if I can't help you, I'll certainly get you with that team. But a lot of time I can answer those questions. We don't allow anonymous complaints. We do want a full name and an address or postal code and email address, some way that we can contact you. We need that information. There has to be a marketplace relationship. So a consumer can't file a complaint against you because they thought the restroom at your office was dirty. They can't do that. There has to be some sort of transaction, some sort of implied transaction, an offer made, some sort of marketplace issue. The complainant needs to seek assistance from BBB if they want to just be upset about a situation and they're not actually want us to do anything. That's a place for a review, or we'll keep that information on file. We're not going to take abusive language. We're not going to take threats. We don't expect anybody to do that. And if something is in litigation, we're not going to get involved. I also want to add to this list, and I realized today I need to update my slide because unfortunately, a lot of the questions that I've been getting phone calls about lately to my direct line have been about employee-employer disputes. And we do not handle employee-employer disputes. So if you are doing work for somebody, let's say they've hired you as a subcontractor, for example, we're not going to get into that type of relationship. If an employee can't file a complaint against you because of some sort of withholding issue, or you cut your hours or some other situation, we do not get involved in employee-employer disputes. So that's really important to know when it comes to complaint acceptance. Another thing, we're going to kind of step away from those profiles, but it is kind of tied in, is the education outreach. Doing talks like this so folks know about how to use those resources. I do talks to groups like this. I did a talk this morning for the Springfield Greene County Library to the staff at one of the branches so they can help people when they come in with some of these areas and help them understand how to find a business or to look at scam information. I was in Web City last week to do a presentation about scams targeting older adults for the senior center. I visited the Marshfield area Chamber of Commerce on Tuesday. I was trying to remember what day it was on Tuesday to talk a little bit about what we do in the community and how it can help businesses getting off the ground a little bit. So that is my job. Like I said, education outreach. So if you have a group that would benefit from learning more about anything BBB, please let me know. I am here to be that resource. Professional organizations, trade organizations, again, community groups, love to come out. I love my job. We do high school presentations. So I talk to juniors and seniors about everyday ethics because ethics in the marketplace is a big part of our mission. So that's a real fun part of my job when I get to go into a high school and talk to some classes about ethical situations and dilemmas. And um, I learn a lot from our school students. So it's always a fun day when I get to do that. I do a lot of talk as well about scams. Scam education is a big part of what I do. And that is another free service, another free tool, not just me coming out and doing the education. But we have a tool called BBB Scam Tracker that is available to you. Estimated in 2022, we saved $21 million, people losing that money to fraud and scams. So at Scam Tracker, you can go search. If you think you are involved in a scam, you can go look and see if other consumers are reporting this as a scam. So for example, something that I know is hitting a lot of small businesses. I get these messages to our BBB Facebook account. Had a Chamber of Commerce locally. One of the, I think it was Rogersville Chamber, reach out to me because some of their businesses were getting it. Is a message through Facebook Messenger on your business Facebook page, saying that you violated the terms of service and to click here. Well, it is a scam because they're going to start asking you for password information. And that's how, unfortunately, your Facebook account can get hacked, which is a nightmare if that happens to a small business. So going to BBB Scam Tracker, you could type in Facebook terms of service or Facebook Messenger and see the kinds of things that consumers are reporting. I'm always available to ask too, but sometimes it's quicker, especially if I'm not in the office. It's a Saturday afternoon and you're trying to get caught up on things and you get that message, go to BBB Scam Tracker. There's also resources to talk about different types of scams, some quizzes to see if you can maybe identify those red flags yourself, and certainly report those scams because we are dependent on information that consumers provide us and businesses provide us about the scams that they're encountering. Now, I know I get emails about scams all day long. I get scammy text messages all day long. Do I get a chance to report every one of them? I do not. But I try where I can because, again, that's the information that we use to help keep the community safe, that I use when I do presentations, that when I talk to the media, this is the information that we use for a lot of that. In 2022, because again, I do not have 2023 data yet, it is coming hopefully very quickly. The number one riskiest scam reported to BBB was online purchases. And that covers so many things. That's probably why it's number one. Roughly 32% of reports to BBB Scam Tracker are these online purchase scams, and 74% of people report losing money. Now, that can be anything from pets, that can be Stanley mugs and tumblers, that can be airline flights, that could be purchasing, again, a service. So someone sent in, they were looking to hire a graphic designer to a brochure for their business and turned out to be a scam. We see scams for people who provide services. So for example, we see this a lot with the wedding industry. It's a scam where people will say, hire a photographer, and they'll pay them with a check that's way more than the service. And they'll say, we got this check as a gift. We got this check, whatever, it was a loan. Can you please send the rest of this money on to this caterer or to this florist? Well, the person they want to send it on to is part of that scam, and the check is a fake. And then when that check comes back, it's going to come back against that poor first person in the chain. So that's one of those online purchase type of scams that you need to be aware of. Employment scams are right up there. We're seeing those increase a great deal. So again, if you're maybe looking for a side hustle and you're looking something that's very flexible and you're looking for something work from home, those types of things are unfortunately where we see those employment scams. So that's kind of our list of scams in the top 10 riskiest for 2022. I don't expect a lot of change in 2023, but I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. So we'll have to see when that comes out. And certainly there'll be more education about that in 2024. Now, when it comes to businesses, there is something we're seeing more of, and that is business email compromise. And I don't know if you've seen something like this. I have to imagine that your heads will start shaking. Yes, I've seen this as we get into it, because when I go out to groups, Chamber of Commerce groups, or I do some presentations with SCORE as well, I hear from people that they're seeing more of this, from my friends who are bankers. They're seeing this with their small business clients. And basically, it's a very targeted phishing scam where you'll get an email that has something to do with a financial account. So, an example that happened in our office is HR got an email that alleged to be from one of our newer employees, saying that they needed to change their payroll account, which that's not how we change our payroll account. So they knew right away that that was a scam. Um, if you have someone, whether it's you or someone in your office who's doing an accounting, they'll send an email asking to change somebody purporting to be one of your vendors, to change how you pay invoices, to change the account that the check is wired to or transferred to, or where you send that check. And talking to some of my friends in banking, that scam can go on for weeks and months before somebody picks up on it. So that's why it's so important to have processes in place. What do you do to verify before you make changes to financial accounts? So this is something that I'll be talking more about in our next webinar that we're doing for the New Growth Women's Business Center in February, and we'll be sharing those dates. But that's just something as a business owner to be aware of, to make sure you have that information. And so I do, again, a lot of scam education. I do want to kind of change gears for a second to talk about accreditation, because I did mention that that's how we're funded. That is how, you get some extra benefits kind of being part of that, and why we call it really the sign of a better business. Is those accredited businesses, you have to use that BBB accredited seal. And so what consumers tell us, what businesses tell us, how BBB accreditation benefits them is it increases the credibility. So if somebody sees that you're BBB accredited, they know that BBB has vetted you. They know that you are voluntarily standing up to say, I want to be BBB accredited. Not everybody qualifies. You do have to apply. You have to be in business for at least 6 months. You do have to have that B rating or better. And again, we have a vetting process, and it gets voted on and approved by our CEO before you actually become BBB accredited. Shows integrity, again, in business practices. You're agreeing to our standards of trust. That builds trust with consumers, which is very important, and especially hard if you're a new business. Maybe you're in a business or an industry that's very competitive, maybe even an industry that's a little, we'll say, saturated. You want to be able to stand out. It's a great way to make you stand out, is that trust factor, as well as increasing visibility as a reputable business. Showing up on bbb.org with that accredited seal, it's a great way to increase your visibility and that you care. You're taking that extra step to show customers and assure customers that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. You're going to be trustworthy. And if you don't do those things, BBB is here to hold you accountable. And these are those standards for being a BBB accredited business. So, for example, 8 standards build trust. And again, I think these are things that businesses, I feel like, should be doing anyway. And again, as a former small business owner, I feel very strongly about. But you're supporting building trust. You agree to advertise honestly. You're going to tell the truth. You're going to be transparent in your business practices. You're going to honor promises. You're going to be responsive. BBB accredited businesses agree that they will respond to those complaints. You're going to safeguard privacy. So you're going to do everything you can to protect your customers' data and embody integrity, how you act. If you want to know more about each of these standards, you can go to bbb.org, and it will line out in detail under each one what that really in practice looks like. So those are the standards we ask our accredited businesses to uphold, and we hold them accountable for in instances where businesses are not, for example, being responsive. If you're BBB accredited and you're responding to your complaints, we will potentially revoke your accreditation. So we are going to hold you accountable to that, and consumers know it. So that means that's why we call it the sign of a better business. Consumers tell us that when they see that seal, they know they're dealing with a reputable business, that it's a trustworthy business, and it's an honest business. And that means a lot. Again, particularly when you're new and you haven't had a chance to build that reputation yet. And we'll kind of go back to that profile, kind of where we started. This is what kind of the back end looks like when you're BBB accredited. Even if you're not accredited, you're going to see the business profile feature, update your info. You're going to have some of these, but a lot of this is blocked out if you're not an accredited business. So if you're an accredited business, you can upload photos and videos to share more about how your business operates, the work that you've done. We have a job listing service. We have our customer review generator. We talked about those vetted, those verified reviews. So you can use the review generator to send that just with a simple text message to a satisfied client. You can put that in your email signature. I have one of our accredited businesses. He's in the Stratford area. He's great at that. Like, he's got tons of reviews, and it's because it's in his email signature asking folks for that review. You have access to the get a quote function, which is a really easy way. You can see it in the profile where that business is. Has a really easy way for folks to ask for your business, to get a quote for your service. Sometimes people will go to bbb.org and they'll look for, let's just say, a roofer or a plumber, and they'll put in a request a quote, and they'll be like, I just want quotes from accredited businesses in my area. So that's just a really good way for people to find businesses like yours. You get that BBB seal, like I said, the sign of better business. You can put that on your website. You can put that on your social media. You can put that on any print materials, any advertising. I was just at the Joplin, Missouri Business Expo, the Chamber Expo, and saw some of those businesses that had that on their business cards and on their marketing materials. And I love it when they put their seal on there. The dynamic seal that goes on your website links directly to your BBB business profile, so that when people click on it, they know it's real. They go right to your profile and they can see that information. So it's a wonderful thing to use when we want our accredited businesses to use it everywhere they can. You also get a weekly newsletter. So we send out some really great tips, information about what's going on for any events that are happening for our BBB accredited business, how you can apply for the BBB Torch Award for Ethics, which those applications are open. That comes out in the weekly newsletter. We have a quarterly magazine that I don't have a copy handy to hold up, but you get that. Love sending those out, giving those out to people. I briefly touched on our job listing service. We want you to use that. It's free. We know it's hard to hire people. So if you're accredited business, we really encourage that. When I go out and talk about employment scams, people tell me all the time, how do I find then legitimate job listings? If there's scammers on LinkedIn, if there's scammers on Indeed, where do I go? And I send them to the BBB job listing page. We talked about Get a Quote. We have search engine marketing opportunities for certain types of businesses. We can help get rates that are a little more affordable because we're a big pool to just kind of help boost how consumers find you when they're doing searches for you online. So there's just some additional things. We have some additional events and things as well for our accredited businesses in the Southwest Missouri area. Wherever you are, if you're BBB accredited or have questions about becoming BBB accredited, you are welcome to come to the Coffee Connections at Big Mama's Coffee and Espresso Bar. That is February 27th. That's a Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. It is in Springfield, Missouri on Commercial Street. We will be doing on the 22nd for everyone who wants to attend, Living in a Digital World. That's going to be just like this webinar. Thank you to the New Growth Women's Business Center. Living in a Digital World is about cybersecurity. It's keeping yourself safe with some basic things. I am not a tech expert, but I can talk and will talk about protecting yourselves from scams, what to think about when it comes to protecting your privacy online, things that you can do that are preventative, and then what to do, unfortunately, in case of, for example, you do encounter a data breach. What are some of the steps that you need to take? So that is going to be another webinar that you can join for free. And then if you would like to come to the in-person version, maybe you can't make the noon version, you live in Springfield, we'll be doing Living in a Digital World at 6 p.m. at the Schweitzer Brentwood Library on Tuesday, February 27th. So those are just a few of the things that are coming up. My contact information, Pamela Hernandez at springfieldbbb.org. And that is my direct phone number, 417-380-5074. I am here to help. I am your resource to answer questions about BBB, anything BBB. If you encounter something you feel like is a scam, if you want more information about what we do, you need to get that business profile updated, please let me know. That is what I'm here to help with. And I'm certainly here to take your questions now. I think we have plenty of time. So any questions? I don't see anything right now in the chat, but feel free to ask anything. And I'm going to stop sharing actually while we do that and bring that up.
I do not see any questions rolling in yet, but I just want to say this is great information for consumers and businesses. I know that BBB sometimes sounds scary, and you just made it sound so much less scary and more as your friend than anything. So I really appreciate the information that you presented to us. I know we all can freshen up on our resources available, and we just thank you very much for your time and letting us know more about the Better Business Bureau.
Well, thank you. I certainly appreciate you letting me share. And you're right. Sometimes people are scared when BBB calls. Like for example, I call every new accredited business and I'm like, oh, it's Pamela with the Better Business Bureau. And I can kind of hear the apprehension. And I'm like, no, I'm just here to say thank you and introduce myself. So never be scared. Even a complaint is an opportunity to practice service recovery. So I just see everything as an opportunity, and I'm always here to help if folks need it.
Absolutely. And what I gathered from this is that you were there to, or the BBB in general is there to kind of be that hand to hold during those difficult times in business, and not a scary tool. It's a tool for friends.
Yes, exactly.
And we did have one chat. Wacy, which is our director here at the Women's Business Center, said thank you for your time. So I think she enjoyed this as well.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very much looking forward to next month.
Awesome. We will see you February 22nd.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela.
Bye.
Bye.